Late night with WAPTech, just answering question. I had a lovely time today trying to back up my own files on my computer, and like an idiot I let the computer get so full that it really did not want to copy anything, but I succeeded. Okay, here we go. NASA space $ 4 times over equals bonk. YouTube live stream comment censorship error, try again. If you type in NASA and $4. So I suggest we put up videos with it. This video will include this. Let's see how long it takes to get flagged and see what the errors are. I'm sorry, but if you're going to punish me for doing things that aren't violating the rules, overtly telling people that you're going to do that, I have no reason to try to not probe your ports. So anyway, hi WAPTech. Please look up the channel Theoria Apophasis or Apophasis. His video, Unifying Gravity, Magnetism, Electricity, and Dielectricity as One Thing Only. Okay, and this was done 2019, blah, blah, blah. He supposedly created an invention that has anti-gravity effects but won't share it, is someone's comment about him. I've actually seen his videos pop up every once in a while. He's a photography person. Now, having an expertise in one area doesn't necessarily mean that you have an expertise in another, but it does mean you should know better than to assume you can transfer from one expertise to another without one basis. Immediately deciding you're going to contradict known facts about reality is a gigantic rabbit hole that people get into, and it causes two things. One, it makes you feel like you're a rebel. Number two, you're immediately told you're wrong, so you can build up, you can decide that you're going to defy that and go into defiance mode, and or decide, oh, I must be onto something, which is a silly thing. It also means that you may actually find something new and useful. The trouble is, just from the titles of his videos and actually other people discussing it on Reddit, above, top secret, etc., and especially people who like him or agree with him, what he's done is he's come into this with the idea that he's going to try to, quote-unquote, upset the apple cart and come up with a completely unrelated theory and then try to force it to really work. The idea here is a misinterpretation of a theory. I have an idea that bubblegum is the core of the universe, or no, the core of the earth. No, let's make it peanut butter. The mechanical characteristics of the way the earth works and the way wave shapes propagate during earthquakes does make it look like something with the consistency of peanut butter or something like that, because it's actually lava. But that doesn't mean it's peanut butter. But what if I wanted to find ways of proving it, just for the sake of argument? Well, I could find a bunch of things that happen to match approximately the same viscosity and propagation delay of, let's say, peanut butter. That doesn't mean it's peanut butter. When you go into something with a particular outcome you're looking for, instead of starting with what the data is and what's most likely, you are digging a hole for yourself. And what I see in him is originally he used to be a braggart who'd brag about having every Nikon camera or whatever. He's a camera guy. And decided to go into this subject where he was trying to find the unified field theory. That's what this is about. And there is some sort of unifying field theory we suspect has to exist. Some understanding of everything. N42. That would cause gravity, electricity, magnetism, electromagnetism, and not dielectricity, I'm not going to cover that, but gravity and electromagnetism should combine in some way, because gravity and electromagnetism have something in common somehow. The trouble is, both of them appear at this time to be effects found within the fabric of the universe. Electromagnetic radiation propagating is a massless version, and gravity is the mass-based version. And that seems to be all there is to it. And yes, somebody's playing really loud music for whatever reason in the background. So I don't know if I'm going to watch this video. I might download it and make a review, but it appears that he's starting with a presumption trying to prove it, which is how politicians and lots of people who make something work do things. I start off with a presumption, I'm going to make a set of glasses, I'm going to find a way to do it. That's great. That doesn't mean I understand how all glasses work or the hypothesis or theory about how light works. That just means I accomplished a goal I had, and that's about it. And it's a very narrow way of doing things. So I don't really believe that his video is that useful, but I'm going to include a link to it below. Okay, the next thing is someone's open request for me to answer a question, so let's see how loud people get across the street desperately. Hey Waptech, this is Strange. I'm a moderator, just received recently one for the Flat Earth channels, etc. This is the one that's about the NASA $ thing. Before you give me an earful for thinking the Earth is flat, I'm only curious about finding out if we're being lied to about other stuff besides name that subject. Yeah, okay, that's the right way, that's the right attitude. Thank you for posting this request for this. And now another person with loud music insistently on turning it on, who will then sit there and idle their engine for 5 minutes, even though it was nearly 65 today. So, I'm doing this outside for 2 reasons. One, I don't have a choice. Number two, I'm going to do this in the noisy area because I'm tired of walking 2 blocks away to get away from the noisy people. But this is the one who brought it up. Anyway, next. I also find that topic fascinating. I will admit some of it seems compelling, like the fact YouTube is trying to stop people from talking about it. Up until name that subject, I didn't question a whole lot, but that subject was my last straw, and from that point on, everything coming from Uncle Sam is on my radar. The presumption anything's coming from Uncle Sam is silly. This is YouTube. Nothing here is orchestrated by the government, but I do agree with you on a bunch of this. And let's let this soak in. YouTube trying to prevent people from finding fake news stories instead of just saying, we're going to be downranking fake news stories. No more false flags. No more videos on the subject at all. This means that they'll take out my videos too. Okay, because they cover the subject. What has this accomplished? You can't find debunking videos unless they are channels that monetize and make sure YouTube gets a cash cut, and then they don't seem to censor them as much. Some are more equal than others. 2, if they'd done this in the first place, I wouldn't be posting any damn videos at all, because YouTube wouldn't be such a hotbed for shit stories. You'd have to go looking on Facebook like you did in the old days, or go on Twitter, or look on some other video sharing site to see somebody trying desperately to convince you up is down and the Earth is flat. But anyway, and I have to point out again, with emphasis added, the idea that the Earth is somehow not round is a pretty simple assumption because on first layer, first blush, it does look flat. There's nothing wrong with this assumption. It just happens to not be true. But it's really difficult to prove that it is actually round unless you go through a lot of trouble. The hardest way is observing the solar system and the stars and figuring it out from there, because it takes a long time in some cases to get a really good idea of this. You end up learning about the universe before you learn about the Earth, which I think is kind of cool. But anyway, let's review. The Theoria, Apophasis video channel and his attempt at a unified field theorem might be cool. I'm presuming that he's starting with an assumption and trying to prove it rather than actually exploring things and finding out the answer. Nobody really knows the true answer. This is totally open, but he might get it. But I don't think that's a useful method, and that's what I'm interpreting it as. Next, YouTube is blocking videos that are going to be named like this. So if it doesn't show up in your feed for a couple of days after I post it today, that might be complete proof. Now, I'm not saying that we should hashtag it this way. Don't do that. Put it in the damn title in the first sentence of your video too. See what happens. It's a suggestion. I mean, it's not like it could result in our channels getting completely erased. Yes, it could. Why would they associate $4 specifically and NASA as being something you don't let post? Or maybe the $signs are potentially, if they were combined with NASA, some keywording system within YouTube for a command line. I'm kind of curious. Okay, well, thanks for watching. Have a good day.